Hey, what would you guys say if I said, it's a great, great morning, your first day in heaven? Go get your chairs. Stroll down Golden Avenue. There are mansions left and right, and you're thrilled to every sight. And the saints are always smiling, saying, how do you do? Why did you guys groan at that? That is an awesome song. What's going to happen here this morning is that these slides are going to run while we're sharing with you. So we're not going to share about the slides, but the things you're seeing right now are our travel day. So this was, 3 Sundays ago. And it was Emily's first flight, as you are looking at right now. And Emily was thrilled that we were videotaping most of it. But I would like to begin by reading a scripture for you out of Matthew 25, verse 37. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick, or in prison, or in the laundromat, and go to visit you? The king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these my brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. So one of the things I want us to talk about this morning is where we saw Jesus. Let me introduce the concept. Mine and Kim's son, Nathan Cooper, is a youth pastor at Hillcrest Baptist in Columbus, Ohio. Our youth pastor here for 5 years was Joel Stamper. The two of them had been talking for a couple of years about doing a mission trip exchange, hence our shirts, Ohidaho, that were made up for us in Columbus. And so the first half of this trip is done. We went from Idaho to Ohio, and now a group of kids, and you'll see a couple of them in a picture, are going to be coming from Ohio to Idaho. Obviously, our youth pastor Joel left about 3 months ago, but you'll actually see him in here if you haven't already. Amanda was Skyping with him at the airport when we were on our way, and so we got a little shot of that. An exciting idea, because our youth trips over the last several years have been to San Diego, basically doing vacation Bible school primarily, so this was much more service-oriented, not as interactive with people, although we did have plenty of opportunity for that as well. I have to tell you that you should be incredibly thankful for this group of people sitting on the stage. We didn't have drama. I don't know if you've ever been on a mission trip before with youth. Have we ever been on one before where there's been drama? Where we've needed to send kids home? Where there's just all kinds of, yes? Not with these guys. Parents, you've done an awesome job. Church, you've done an awesome job of raising fine young men and women of God, every single one of them. I mean, they just, not only that, not only were they good when we were watching. I don't know what happened when I wasn't watching. Oh, still okay, I think. Oh, good, they were nice, Thad. This was Thad's. Thad, you should get up and look at this slide. Did you see it? Anyway, that was Thad's position a lot of the time. No. They worked hard. Didn't complain. There were days we got rained out. We had to switch what we were doing. And it was, I shouldn't say we didn't complain. The hot day we complained, a little hot and humid, pulling weeds, pulling sticks. We weren't throwing it. Yeah, other than a couple little things. Not even complaining. Just did an awesome job. So, what I want is for them to share with you, as well as Teresa and Kim and myself. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to take about 3 or 4 minutes for each day that we have. So we're already past travel day. Okay? We left here at 11:30 a.m. We got into Columbus at 4 a.m. So 11:30 a.m. here, because we had to fly into Indianapolis, planes were delayed, all kinds of stuff, and we had to drive 3 hours from Indianapolis, and got there at 4 a.m. and went to sleep for a couple hours and got up and started working. On Monday, which we were supposed to work at the Christian Conference Center, which ultimately is where we stayed the rest of the time, but since we're getting in so late, we stayed at the church for those few hours. So instead, the first day, we worked at a youth center that's part of Hillcrest Baptist Church that they purchased the building next door. Our son's apartment is right above it, in fact, called The Hill, but it's a little dumpy, and there were chips in the wall. So, whoever would like to share kind of what we did, who you think we benefited, where you saw Jesus in that, anybody can start. And say your name the first time. Yeah, you're on. Hold it close.
No. Okay, I'm Mark, and yeah, the first day we were at the church working because it was a rainy day, and we decided, we're there, we might as well work in the youth center, or it's called the warehouse. And it was definitely a really cool spot to work in for the day. I mean, there was plaster on the wall that was coming off, and Nathan thought, let's make it look like it was supposed to be there. So we were taking chips out of the wall, we were taking pieces of plaster out of the wall for most of the time, and then we were also, Amanda and Emily were, after the benches were built by Nico and Thad, Emily and Amanda were staining the new picnic benches that were made. When we were plastering, kind of saw myself sitting down there plastering, taking the plaster off the wall. Then Pastor Jeff would go around and take some acid and put it on the bricks underneath it to make it look cleaner and like it looked like it was actually meant to be there. And when we were done, we got everything swept, mopped. It looked a lot nicer than what we had come to start with. And then me and Teresa decided we're going to tear a little bit more plaster off the wall. And she wants to talk now.
I'm Teresa. It was a pleasure to go with these guys, and the reason why there was no drama is because the first day when we were pulling plaster and pounding plaster off the wall, we were exhausted. Every day after that. It was an actual thrill to watch these guys go into action. Not only were they breaking away the plaster off the wall, but they were breaking and chiseling a new beginning into that church building. For those youth, for other groups that met there throughout the week. So when they walked into a brand new place that was changed. And I don't believe that place will ever be the same again.
It won't. Nathan talked about it's never been that clean and just that useful for what it was for. So, perfect. So let's go. Go ahead and start that. So we're to Tuesday, and we went down towards Cincinnati, about an hour and a half drive, to Camp Kirkwood. And that's where we did complain a little bit because they had us picking up sticks in a kind of a hot, weedy place, poison ivy area. A couple of us got poison ivy. And in that instance, it didn't feel like we were really doing something that was as beneficial because you didn't see the results. And it was just so they could mow without, messing up the mower or whatever. Then they gave us what felt like was some real work to do. It was super beneficial.
I'm Amanda. So when we were at the camp, we picked up the sticks in the RV camp, which I kind of thought it was a joke at first, but it actually really was a real task. And then after that, we moved a bunch of bunk beds. We had to load them up onto a trailer and took them down a few yards away and put them in a big truck. And Alright, we picked up more sticks, bigger ones this time, in a different area. And we also fixed up a trail that went over this pond thing, over to where the cabins were. And it was paved in the middle of it, but it was broken up, so I guess a lot of people got hurt. So we put rocks on the pathway to make it a lot safer for the people to walk, which is very beneficial so you don't break an ankle.
I'm Kim. The last mission trip I went on about 8 years ago was to Camp Kirkwood. And guess what we did when I was there? We laid gravel on the side of the path that goes along the lake. So it's taken 8 years for that to all wear away, and got to do it a second time. But it was really cool as we were doing it. There were 2 camps going on while we were there, and some of the kids were walking back and forth across the path as we were working, and it was really cool to see their excitement and have them tell us how nice it looked and how much better it was for them to be walking along the dam without worrying about sliding off the side of the blacktop and hurting their ankles. So it was really fun to do, but it was very hot.
Now, there were probably about 100 or so campers there between these 2 camps, and so one of the places we saw Jesus was in the faces of these campers. I mean, those of you who've ever been involved in church camp, and every church camp is awesome, isn't it? I mean, you know, we love Cathedral Pines, but there's Cathedral Pines all over this country. It's not so much about the location, it's about getting away and spending time with God. And so what we did was provide a safer place for that to happen for those campers. And I tell you, the staff was thrilled. They kept talking about, like, do you know, in fact, the staff had to finish it up because they didn't have enough gravel to do it. They said, do you know how long this would have taken us to do this, as opposed to having 9 of us, because our son was with us on most of that as well. So then we get to Wednesday, and that is the day we worked at the Christian Conference Center, I believe. This is also the place we stayed. We stayed there because Blythe Hitch Cooper, not blood related except through Christ's blood, said, you guys need to stay here, not at the church. There are showers here, and I'm going to cook breakfast for you every morning. And so we also did some work there.
Hello. Well, my name's Nico. When we worked at the Christian Conference Center, we had to move a path that they had, and she wanted to get rid of it. So we pulled up like, 600 bricks or something, and we stacked them in another spot. I had the best job. I got to ride a lawnmower around, so I had fun, as everyone else is pulling bricks. But we did that, and then they had this big square kind of in the center of the yard that was just filled with weeds up to like as tall as I was. So we kind of just pulled them all out. We cut like little tiny trees, aspen trees it seemed like, and we just pulled them all out, and then when we got done, it just looked 100 times better. It was, you could see clear across the yard to where the volleyball court was and everything, and it was just so much fun, but it was sweating. I mean, Mark here had like sweat just drenched in his hair. It's like, don't get close to me. So he was pretty nasty. But he was working hard, I was working hard, everybody was. We just kind of, that's kind of the stuff that I like to do a little bit. My mom can testify saying no, because I don't want yard work. But I'll do it for someone else. But it was just so much fun to do, and pulling up bricks and everything and just stacking them in a lawnmower and then taking them over to another spot. So it was pretty cool.
And we lost a couple that day, one to heat exhaustion and one to a bad back. But other than that, injuries were minimal during the whole time, and they just kept working hard. We got rewarded by doing what? Use a microphone.
I'm Emily, and after we all got done pulling up the bricks and all that, everyone decided that we need to go swim, and it was really nice because the water in the pool was really cold. But it was fun. We swam for about an hour to an hour and a half, and Nico decided he wanted to swim like a dolphin. And I think that night we had a concert from this guy that was living there named Jared Mahone, and he was in a contest for Verizon's first Indie Icon. And it turns out after we were all home and all that, we get like whoever is friend with him on Facebook and Pastor Jeff emailed everyone that he ended up winning the contest. So he won the contest, and he was really fun to experience.
And well, at the end, if we have time, we'll share more about that kind of thing. Okay. Who does the Christian Conference Center service? Who did you see around there that it helped for benefits?
I know it helped the youth group from what's your church name again?
First Baptist Church of Twin Falls.
Okay, the other one. Hillcrest. There it is. See, I don't have a good memory. But Jared was doing a volleyball camp for them and everything. So the youth kids were there and everything, and some of them that are coming here for their mission trip, they were there and they were doing volleyball camp. And I don't know what's.
Well, and then on the last day after you got your wake-up song?
That, and on the last day before we left, they're holding a Mighty Oaks camp, which is just a musical group that they do, and they put on a musical about God, really.
Yeah, exactly. A musical about God. It's at Mighty Oaks Day Camp. It runs several weeks during the summer, and they do musicals for kids, and it's kids from the church, but it's kids from the neighborhood as well that don't have opportunity for this kind of thing. So, okay, so that's Wednesday, and now Thursday. Was this the free store? Yes. So this was the freezer and the garden. My name is Jeff, by the way. When we said we were going to the free store, I don't know if you're familiar with what a free store is, but people go. Well, I'm not going to tell them how it is. But when Nico heard it, he heard freezer. And he comes to me and says, I didn't bring a sweater with me. I'm like, what? What? For the freezer?
It's 95 degrees and 90% humidity.
Yeah.
He says he didn't bring a sweater.
So, somebody share about the free store.
Okay, I will. The free store is in a church, near where we were. It's in a different church. And it provides clothing and food and all kinds of supplies and materials for people who are in need. They are allowed to come once a week. They have the clothing open, and they get 15 minutes to shop. And they are allowed to take whatever they want, and up to a limit. They do have a limit. Women can have 75 pieces of clothing in a month. Can you imagine us women having 75 pieces of clothing a month? And different things like that. And then they check out and they bring in the next group for another 15 minutes. We spent our first bit of time there moving boxes around, taking out the winter clothes and putting in the summer clothes, and then hanging a lot of it. And then as people were shopping, we would walk around, look for empty hangers, because they left their hangers on the racks, and then we would bring out more clothes. And it was amazing how quickly they would take things, and we would have to put things, they would take them out of our hands as we were walking out to put them on the racks. I think this was the day I got the most exhausted. You would not believe how tiring it was just to do that. But it was really cool, and we got to meet with some of the people before they started letting them shop. I got to visit with a lady named Put, whose mother came from Cambodia, and another lady named Brittany, who were both parents, had 3 children, husbands weren't working, and they were in great need of the things that were being provided there. So it was really great to share with them and visit and then provide this service. And I'll let somebody else talk about.
It was really an amazing opportunity. And at first I was like, wow, we need to do this. This is awesome. And then we started moving boxes and unloading and doing exactly like Kim said. And we visited with them. And after 3 hours of doing that, I said, oh, I know what we don't want to do. So, but I had an opportunity to meet with 2 ladies that had a child. The child spoke better English than they did. It was very broken and very interesting, and their lifestyle was such that their home was on the move. And so this free store really did provide items that this child wouldn't normally get because they had to move so much and had to leave it behind. And so that was a really an amazing experience to see that kind of lifestyle in the inner city. And And to see Christ moving. There was a lady, Mary, there who celebrated her what? 64th birthday. And I didn't know what was going on. The next thing I heard was Jeff just came back with a gift certificate and a card, and everybody was signing away. And he presented this birthday card to her, and it just really touched her in a mighty way. So did we see the hands of, we were the hands and the feet of Christ that day. It was amazing to have that opportunity.
And actually, Emily got to present the card to Mary. It was neat, because Corrine, who's in charge, asked me to come up and help check people in as they're coming in. They get a card. It's a very organized system. It's amazing the work these people do. We can't imagine if the 9 of us weren't there, because we literally, I mean, they've said it, we worked hard the entire time. We didn't stop. And take the 9 of us out of it that one day. And how could they have done it? I don't think they could have. Now, there are other days that some churches have more volunteers and so forth there. So I got to meet Mary when she came in, and she was talking to Corrine, and Corrine gets to know him, and just happened to say it's my 64th birthday. So ran across to Walgreens and got her a gift card, and we got candles and sang, and you just think it was the greatest thing in the world. I mean, a lot of us would get that in a card for Christmas and go, oh, that's nice. This meant the world to her. Not probably even so much the gift card, although I'm sure that was very important. The fact that somebody would recognize her birth was just tremendous. And I saw Jesus in that moment, because I saw him in the least of these, who didn't have other people celebrating for her and with her. And so it allowed all of the people there to celebrate with her. There was one lady who came up, Nathan and Thad most of the time did the customer service at the counter, check people out, and I would fill in every once in a while, and this lady came up, and all of a sudden she goes, I've been robbed. At the free store, I've been robbed. People were taking stuff out of her basket. At the free store. Is that enough for the free store? I know that was kind of one of the coolest places, because it was the most interaction we had with people. And there weren't pictures of the people in this, just because you don't do that kind of thing. But it was really neat. But you did see, too, that it's right next door to the high school that I went to. And yes, I had to crawl under the fence to get over there by that dugout to take that picture. Here's the good news. I could crawl under that fence. Last year, I just would have taken a picture of it. That helped me get under there. So anyway, that was great. So that was Thursday. You want to say anything else about that, or about the early the next morning, what happened for you?
Sure. And I can also say, though, on Monday, there was a family of the Ings that fed us for that night, and I thought it was really cool because their little boy Sam had the same birthday as me, so I was all pumped. I was like, hey, that's my birthday too! And so I really enjoyed that, and I was just happy that they were able to do that. Just people who don't even know us would just volunteer to feed us for that day and everything as we got in. But that was awesome, and they have a little girl too whose name is Phoebe, because I would always call her Sophie, and I was like, oh, her name's Phoebe. So that's something I like. But Friday morning was the night that I had to leave because it was my grandparents' 50th anniversary the next day, I do believe, and so I had to be there in time for that. But I woke up early in the morning around 5 o'clock, took a shower, and then I got ready, lost my phone, left it at the Christian Conference Center. And so then the pastor at Hillcrest, he drove me to the airport, praise him. And it was just a long flight, about it. And then they had fun the next couple of days. That was kind of a bummer, but hey, I was in Oregon, so.
Just to intervene, the Christian Conference Center was built in 1904, and it is amazing. It's like a miniature mansion. And the bench, it's funny that I'm sitting over here, isn't it? Because there was a rocking chair on the porch. And it just the big pillars, and it was just amazing, and all the green, lush beauty that just surrounded you. And my request was pancakes, because this was a long time dream to be in such a beautiful thing, beautiful location. The only thing that was really missing was the pancakes and a big hoop skirt. And they didn't have anything like that laying around. So I got pancakes Friday morning, and I was in heaven.
It was awesome that Blythe Ann cooked what she asked us what he wanted, and she just did it out of the goodness of her heart. Lots of bacon for Kim. And it was really, well, we'll get to that after we finish this. So, our fun day. Oh, we haven't heard about what? Oh, the garden. Thank you. Yes, yes. Talk about the garden. I'm sorry. I'm off the fun already.
Well, what I wanted to say about the garden, I got to plant a bunch of plants in the garden. What this is a community garden center right there on the location of the church property. They actually purchased some land and tore down some houses, and it's just an amazing location. We got there and it was raining, so we couldn't actually, isn't that right? It was raining? And we couldn't do what we first wanted to do, so we ended up going in and doing devotion. What I wanted to say about this was that each day we had a morning devotion and an evening devotion led by Nathan Cooper. And it truly was a life-changing event in the teaching of the gospel, putting it into our hearts and then putting it into action. And then go.
When we were at the garden, I got to plant cucumbers, which was interesting because the first 3 I planted, I planted 3 cucumbers at the same time in one spot. So we'll see how that turns out. And finally got it right and started planting them each individually. And there's a long-term goal for that garden. Right now it looks beautiful. As it is, it looks beautiful. But when it's fully done, it's just going to look amazing. They've showed us the sketches of it and how it's going to look and what they're going to do in the next, I don't know how long, what, they say a few years it was going to take? 3 to 5 years to finish it up. But if right now it looks beautiful, I'm thinking, I'll just, take a trip back just to go see the garden and be like, hi guys, how you doing? And then I'll fly back. But it was definitely a lot of fun to be planting these seeds and these plants in the ground, because it's we're not just doing this just to plant these. We're actually providing food for a family, because there are families around there that they had their own little section of garden, and they would plant their own, and then they'd come and harvest it when it was time. So it was not only just planting, it was also providing for a family that actually needed the food or some type of nutrients that they don't naturally get or can afford. And it felt really good to be able to do that for a family. At the moment it wasn't happiness, but in the end it was joy to feel that I helped this person out, whether I knew them or not. And that's why that was the spot I saw Christ at the garden.
So what Mark was saying about them finishing up making the garden look really awesome. The cool part about the garden is they're going to put a pathway in it, and it's going to look like a cross. I thought that was really cool. When they were working in the garden, me, Pastor Jeff, and Emily were working in the garden building or whatever it is. All their tools are kind of just leaned up against the wall, so we put up, what are they called? Or an organizer for the tools, and we hung up all the tools. And that's a really huge blessing for them, so they don't have to keep figuring out where they're going to put the tools and have them just in the way and someone can step on them. So that was really cool.
I just wanted to say real quick, the plan with the garden is that community members can have a raised bed to plant plants in, and then they can harvest their own so that they have food for their families. The morning that we worked there on Thursday morning, before we went to the free store, they actually got to harvest some of the things that were grown, and we took the food to the free store with us. We took 14 pounds of cabbage, 4 pounds of broccoli, and 4 pounds of radishes, I believe, to the free store to be given to the people at the free store as well. So it was just another way that this community garden helps out those around.
Okay, now fun day, right? So, South Bass Island and Lake Erie, the town is called Put-in-Bay. My grandparents built a summer cottage there back in the early 60s, and so we thought, well, that'd be fun for the kids. It's also a very historical place. Our third tallest national monument is there. Celebrating the Battle of Lake Erie, which this is the 200th year. So, thinking about the 4th of July coming, September 10th, 1813 is when we kind of got independence there from the British. It was British Canada at that time. And that border has been long-standing peace, and by the memorial are 3 flags that fly at the same height, which doesn't happen in the United States, but U.S., British, and Canadian flag, showing peace now between the 3 countries. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of Jesus in this, but share about Put-in-Bay a little bit if you want. What you did.
Okay, when we got to Put-in-Bay, we walked from where the ferries were docked, and we walked all the way to their cabin, and we went and explored around a little bit, and then we came up and we had dinner, and it was just leftovers from lunch. And then we all went back into town and we explored a little bit. And then it was really fun because we got to go see the monument. And then after that we went back and we had our night devotion. And then the next day we all got ready, and then we went back and we actually got to go into the monument. It was really cool because you could see everything from around there, and we actually got to see Canada. Pretty cool.
Also say about Put-in-Bay is me, Mark, and Jeff did a lot of biking.
Very small one.
Yeah, we have a golf cart, and so the rest of them fit in the golf cart, but then some of us had to take bikes. What else did we do? What were the couple of places we went into? Nico? Oh, you weren't there.
I was on the beach.
Okay, so Saturday we went to, we did like a bunch of different tours. The monument for one, and then we went into Crystal Caves. It's the largest geode in the world. It's actually in the Guinness World Record book. That was really cool, just to see how big it was. Because when you're in there, you think, okay, it's just a cave, but it's a big rock.
Okay, so there was also Harry's Cave, which was really interesting because I guess the myth was that Harry used to keep his prisoners in there, but actually what happened down there was it was just this cave, and what had happened, I guess, thousands of years ago was that these 2 pieces of earth actually, the plate tectonics split, so it just created this cave. And also down there it had this water, this mineral water pool, which actually saved Harry's men's lives because they were severely dehydrated and they needed some real water. And then also down there, while you're down there, you can see some really interesting rock formations. Like there was there was the alligator, and there was the eye, which was just like, it was on the floor and it was kind of creepy. Because it did look like an eye looking at you. and you also had there was just a couple of other random things that they had that what the staff said is when they got bored, they started seeing things like lions and tigers and bears.
Let me, for the sake of time, share this last day. This is really cool that Amanda and Emily got to participate in the praise team at Hillcrest Baptist on Sunday morning. I preached. You just want to say real quick what instrument you got to play?
I got to play Jared Mahone's guitar, and it was the first guitar that he ever bought, so that was pretty special. The worship leader was kind of jealous of me, so yeah.
Because the worship leader always wanted to play Jared's guitar and never got to. And here's Amanda, this kid, from Idaho comes. And I asked Jared if he had an extra guitar she could use. He goes, oh, she can just use mine. I just gave it to her. So cool for this young, aspiring musician to come and literally just in our bedroom, basically, gave a concert just for them. Awesome Christian guy. He's the nephew of my best friend, Brian Hitch. Very, very cool. We did, just let it keep going. We went to a laundromat and we gave away laundry. Interesting thing was that some people, we didn't give away laundry. We took our dirty laundry and we said, here. We paid for people's laundry. Some people wouldn't accept that. They wouldn't allow us to do it. Everybody else at first was very skeptical. They thought we wanted something in return or whatever. And we did, so it was interesting just seeing that, seeing Jesus break through in some places, and these people who seemed sort of angry at first or whatever, all of a sudden, we're sitting there chatting with them. And the walls just broke down and conversations took place. And then, you're not going to hear that just because of time, but we're singing Amazing Grace in the bottom of Perry's Monument, and it's like this rotunda, and it just echoes and is beautiful. So, briefly, anything else you'd like to share?
I don't remember which night it was, but when we were at the Christian Conference Center, in the room where we had our meals at, there was a meeting going on there, and there was a family whose wife had heart problems, and so from just us alone, I think they got a donation of $120, and so I think just coming from us and not really knowing who the family was and just right on the spot, that was a really huge blessing and amazement just that they could get that much just from us 8 people.
Also, one thing we did Wednesday night is we went and hung out with the Hillcrest Baptist Church youth group for the night, and we watched a movie called Father of Lights, which is, we read in the New Testament and in the Old Testament how people miraculously are healed through in the New Testament, Jesus Christ and his followers, and in the Old Testament by God and by the prophets and all of them. But then in this movie, it showed how that was still going on. Like, you don't see it every day. Like, around here, I don't see it very often, and maybe I don't see it from that perspective, but when we watch this movie, we're watching people miraculously healed, and actually seeing people from across the world, in India and in Israel, that were doing God's will, that were listening, literally hearing the word that God was speaking to them, telling them where to go, these people to see, and these people to heal. And I thought, that just inspires me, because I don't see it very often, and that just tells me I should look harder and really know that it's actually still happening.
I just want to add on to that. In that movie, this guy who was going around and healing people ended up healing this one guy, and he couldn't, one of his legs were was shorter than the other leg, so he was walking around with a limp. And so that guy healed his legs to where he could walk around with no limp. And they were trying to find a way to get into the Muslim temple or something like that there. And they went and asked this guy, and he said, I don't know how to get in, but I have a friend that could probably get you in there. well, they were walking around the town trying to find him, and when they found him, it ended up being the guy who that one guy healed the legs. And so that was like really cool to like see that who heals someone who healed him, they could meet again to do something else greater for them.
You know, I get pretty wrapped up in things emotionally. I don't know why. God just made me that way. Praise God, right?
Yeah.
So I was so honored to get to go on this trip. I mean, really, you don't take two huge members of the staff right straight out, but Joe was supposed to be here. And I was a little dismayed when Jeff said, well, I'm going. Because Joel's not here, and I went. And I wasn't dismayed, I was just angry because Joel had left me. But you understand that because Nico actually proposed to me while we were on trip.
With a sock.
With a sock. Isn't that like in Harry Potter, right? The little guy? Right. All right, so anyway. I love you, Nico. Anyway. So I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I was just kind of, whatever. Got on board with it. I love Jeff and Ken, and I was really looking forward to going with these guys and having a great time and serving God in any way that He would have called me to. What a special blessing it was to get to spend time with Kim. I've never been able to spend that much time with her. But driving through the area and hearing her talk about her hometown and seeing her areas and what streets you point out, even got to see her very special house that she loves. So I have a very kindred spot in my heart for Kim. We had a wonderful time working side by side. When you're planting and sowing seed, you know, you hear that scripturally, but to actually do it, you don't know what the fruit is that's going to come out of this. But I do know that God is watering those seeds and taking care of those fruits. And He's going to bless those families, thousands and thousands. And it's going to be an amazing story. This is an ongoing story. This is just the beginning. This is our first time getting to really just speak about it. But this is going to be ongoing for a long time. One of the blessings was hearing Jeff talk about where he grew up. He drove us down, took us around the roads, and where he probably pedaled his bike and ran across the road playing, and got to see houses where friends lived that he could still remember names and information about them that I couldn't repeat, but it really meant something to him. And we got to see where his mother lived, and walked by her little cottage, and it was beautiful. She wasn't lying. It was really beautiful. But the most special thing in my heart that I brought home was a true connection to my pastor and my friend and my boss. He talks about all these places, and now I can really, be that Barnabas behind him, encouraging him and pressing him on, because I've seen where he's gone. I know where he's at. And now I see where we're going. And I'm excited. And I praise God for this opportunity, and I look forward to serving behind him.
And I just echo Teresa's thoughts as well. I can't say it as well as you, but just the meaningfulness of all of this, and sharing it with you, and having you share the mission committee help provide funds. You all have been helpful for fundraisers. Many of you prayed for us, and we're just so thankful for that. I saw Jesus most in the people you see sitting up here that just really gave their hearts. And I know that some of you have said, now I'm ready to go overseas. I want to do more. I want to do more with my life. And there's just nothing that you can do to get that other than an experience like this. And so I'm just so thankful for it. I think the last thing we'll say, and Mike, wherever you are, we'll conclude with this, is that we'll have Kim sort of share how we feel, but what I feel about us, that this church is a church of servants of Jesus Christ. The Apostle Paul said, I'm a slave, I'm a bondservant of Jesus Christ, and I believe so much, and I see it in your lives all the time, and I hear testimony, because, you know, we get to sit up here today and tell all this. You don't get that opportunity so much, but, and there's so much you do we don't know about, but I also know a lot of what you do. And as a pastor, that thrills my heart. So it's not just these guys sitting up here, but it's all of us sitting here, and we are servants of Jesus Christ. And so we'll close this service with Kim sharing with us about us being servants.
I am a servant. I am listening for my name. I sit here waiting. I've been looking at the game that I've been playing. I've been staying much the same. When you are lonely, you're the only one to blame. I am a servant. I am waiting for the call. I've been unfaithful, so I sit here in the hall. How can he use me when I've never given all? How can he choose me when he knows I quickly fall? So he feeds my soul and he makes me grow, and he lets me know he loves me. I am worthless now, but I've made a vow. I will humbly bow before thee. Oh, please use me. I am lonely. I am a servant, getting ready for my part. There's been a change, a rearrangement in my heart. At last I'm learning, there's no returning once I start. To live's a privilege, to love is such an art, but I need your help to start. Oh, please purify my heart. I am your servant.
Since you didn't get to hear it, let's sing one verse together. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. You sound beautiful, but you should really sing in the bottom of Harry's mind. I've asked them to go out there and stand where I kind of normally do, so you can greet them and share your love with them, because they really serve you well, very well. Now glory be to God, who by his mighty power at work within us is able to do far more than we'd ever dare to ask or even dream of. Infinitely, beyond our highest prayers, desires, thoughts, and hopes. Now glory be to God through this church and through his Son, Jesus Christ, both now and forever. And all God's servants said, Amen. are commissioned to go and serve. God bless you guys. After the benediction.
As the rain.
Have you been to Hawaii?
No.
Oh, no.
Am I doing?
So, it's your first time ever flying. What advice have you gotten?
Don't throw up. Anybody tell you to chew gum when you're taking off?
I banged on the window. She's like, oh, hey.
Right on there.
Everything.
We're videotaping the Skyping.
Emily, Pastor.
Getting there.
Sad.
I said he cut all the.
Trying to heal my.
Hi. Are you excited to be flying?
Get up here.
Hurry up.
Here, it's on. Show us what it looks like outside.
That's what it looks
Do you want us to look out the window with it? That's landing. That's not coming. That's landing.
Okay, you're supposed to clap, Emily.
Don't clap. It seemed like a first time flying.
Emily, clap.
No.
Silently clap.
I already warned her.
Silently clap. They go.
Teresa and Kim and Thad and Nico and Mark and Emily and where is she? There she is, Amanda. Loser. Awesome.
That's a boomobile. Sure.
That's what you're waving at, girl.
That works.
Who's the skinny guy you're behind?
Oh my gosh, make me go haircut.
Hey, you can see he's recording too. That's Nathan, everybody.
Is the back unlocked?
Okay.
No.
As the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not return to it without watering the earth and making it bud and flourish so that it yields seed for the sower and bread for the eater. So is my word that goes out from my mouth, it will not return to me empty. So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. So is my word that goes out from my mouth. antidote for pride. Jesus, I am finished with the lie. Jesus, I am finished with the lie. The lie that my life is my own. The lie that my life is my own. I can't rule wisely, oh I can't rule wisely, though I've tried. Lord, come and sit upon your throne. I abdicate authority, I abdicate my rights, I abdicate the power to decide. I'm taking my eyes off of me to keep you in my sight, beholding you the antidote for pride, beholding you the antidote for pride. What can I give? What can I lay down to show you how grateful I am? What can I say? What can I do for you to show you how much I love you? Here's my life. Take it, use it. It's all that I have, but maybe somehow through this thing, you'll see how much you mean to me. What can I give? What can I lay down to show you how grateful I am? What can I say? What can I do for you to show you how much I love you? Here's my life. Take it, use it. It's all that I have, but maybe somehow through this thing, you'll see how much you mean to me. What can I give? What can I lay down to show you how grateful I am? What can I say? What can I do for you to show you how much I love you? Here's my life. Take it, use it. It's all that I have, but maybe somehow through this thing, you'll see how much you mean to me.
Hear my prayer. Hear the voice the horns of your altar. Oh Lord, I'll be a living sacrifice. I lay down everything that hinders and cry out for a brand new heart. I put my hand to the plow, never will look back. Move the stone from this well and let the living waters flow. Bind me to the horns of your altar. Oh Lord, I'll be a living sacrifice. I lay down everything that hinders and cry out for a brand new heart. Take my cross and follow you. Forsake my life in this world. Through the cross, the world is dead to me, and I am dead to the world. I put my hand to the plow, never will look back. Move the stone from this well and let the living waters flow. Bind me to the horns of your altar. Oh Lord,
Well,